Welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you exactly how to use Monday.com. So if you've recently signed up, perhaps you're considering it, or if you signed up a while ago and just want to make the most out of this platform, then this video is for you. And if you do want to sign up at any point and you haven't yet done so, then there will be a link in the description which will enable you to get started as soon as possible. Now, as you'll see on screen, this is the home interface. So to get here, all I've done is logged into my existing account. Now, if you do sign up for the first time, then you will go through a simple tutorial which will help you get your first project underway. And before I delve into this interface, I do also want to mention that there are a variety of different support tools available to us. So as an example, there is a step-by-step getting started guide, which you can find on the right-hand side of the interface. And there is also the ability to get support via the Help Center. These are really, really good resources and I would recommend checking them out. At the same time, signing up for Monday.com is entirely free for their basic plan. So it's worth signing up for and just running through the interfaces and just testing it for yourself if you're yet to do so. That's perhaps the best way to learn the tool. But with that said, I am now just going to walk you through all of the different elements of this platform and just to showcase exactly what's on offer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to showcase at the start just all about our kind of user profile. That's where we can access all of the kind of main things about how our account works. So as an example, if you click this little icon in the top right, you'll see you have the ability to change your profile. Here you can change everything from your title, your email, your phone, etc., etc. Very, very important if you're working with a team and you need to collaborate. You can also change your working status, whether you are, as you can see, in the office, out of office, whether you work from home, out sick, etc. So this is really, really good to update on a daily basis. You can change your password here, your language and region, which is important for things like your time zone and how you see dates within the tool itself. You can also change your notifications up here. So yeah, that will be how you get alerted, and also your session history. So exactly what you've done within the tool. So that's important to notice from your My Profile. You can also import data here. So if you're new to Monday.com, perhaps you've been working in Excel or even another project management software, then you can import your data into the tool to get started quicker and to prevent the need from building from scratch. You also have the ability to set up some automations. That's obviously very, very important as you start to build out your processes and your workflow. From here, you'll notice that there are the ability to set up a range of different automation features, starting with basic all the way through to those that are kind of more advanced. You've got some excellent ones on here, ranging from automations based on when statuses change that maybe need to set up on a recurring basis, those that tick off a certain due date, etc., etc. There's loads in here and it's worth exploring. Again, as you'll see in the top right, there are videos to help guide you through this process, so you're not entirely on your own. From the your profile icon, there's also the ability to, if you need some development work, you can do that from here. There's also the ability to check things that you've deleted. So here's your trash as an example. Also archival documents and stuff. So perhaps you've been working in the tool, maybe you don't need to perhaps see an old project anymore. You can access that via the archive button. There's also an element of administration that you can set up depending on your team and who's working on it. As you can see here, I'm logged in as the admin of this particular account. So I have the ability to start going in and just customizing every aspect of my account. So as an example, I can change my branding. I can also change who is part of this account, the users, what they can do, what they can see. There's also security features and API access. We have some billing information here. Also usage stats, which can be really, really important if you're new to the tool and you want to see who's adopting it, etc., etc. So that's also available from your profile top right. There is the ability to manage your teams. You also have a working status just to kind of manipulate down at the bottom here, which can be really, really handy depending on kind of how busy you are. Logging out is accessible via this button here. You can also invite members to your team. You can also change the theme. So at the moment I've got the light theme. I think that's really, really nice. But you can also change it depending on if you prefer the darker look and also if you're working at night. Ability to use shortcuts. There's various different shortcuts in the tool that can speed up your processes, so you can check that out. It's also a mobile app, which you can access by just clicking on this. You can find out the exact mobile app. So I did just want to walk you through that. From here, let's delve into the other icons on the dashboard. So you've got help, search, so you can search for a particular project, a particular item that you've created. You also have the ability to use different apps. You can find that here. Invite members. So one thing you'll notice by this point already is that there are various pieces of functionality which are just kind of set up throughout the platform. So you can invite members through here and you can also do it through here. You also have an inbox which you can just see kind of messages And the first time you open these things up, you'll get these kind of little prompts as well, just explaining how it kind of works. And there's also this kind of walkthrough which you can kind of do when you first start Monday.com, which will just help you get kind of set up more quickly. So these are the kind of core things that they recommend that you do. So here is one of the messages, I believe, so this is from the CEO of Monday.com, and this just kind of shows you how messaging works, and it's also just quite nice to get kind of introduced at the start, and you can just see how this kind of works because of the way this has been set up. So that's the kind of the main area of the right hand side. This will appear across every different interface in Monday.com. We also have the ability to notice any kind of notifications that have come in. So if we've been mentioned, if someone puts @ and then your name or your account, and that they want you to be alerted and notified, then this will all kind of appear here. Anything that's unread will appear in this one when you were mentioned, or if you were assigned, then this will all appear here. So really, really important if you're working in large teams and people are putting kind of work or process onto you. So that's on the right hand side. Now the way we need to view Monday.com is it kind of operates via, it's very, very similar to say a desktop computer, a PC. So imagine this as your kind of folders and subfolders, if you like. So in Monday.com, we have workspaces, and we also have, we can also set up folders. So on the left, if you click this at any point, you'll go back to this home page. You'll then have anything that is kind of outstanding for you to do. And it's kind of broken up by dates. You can customize this if you wanted to, but you can check out any work that is on your to-do list by clicking on my work. Of course, you need to be kind of operating within the boards themselves. I'll show you that in due course, but that's where this can start to appear. So this is the main workspace, and one of the good things about this is if I click on this, the kind of 3 dots to the right, we can rename it. So we could essentially set up different portfolios and have different projects underneath, or we could just have different areas that we can set up and kind of help to document our work and just keep it all in certain places. So as an example, we could have something like risks as this workspace, and then everything relating to risks could be underneath, and then we could set up a second workspace which could be related to something entirely different. That's just a quick example, but I'm just trying to explain how this can work. You can also change the icon as well. So there's various different Monday.com icons, and you can also just choose colors as well, which is quite nice. You can manage this in terms of who can access it, who can see it. Here is where we could add a new workspace, but again, you can do that in a variety of ways. You could just press this as well. We can browse all our workspaces from here. We can collapse all the folders, and we can view the archive as well. Now, here are 2 different boards I've set up. I'll walk you through those in a second, but I'm just going to show you if we wanted to create a new workspace. Let's just call it let's just call it new workspace for now. And also you have the ability to have it as kind of open. So maybe that's for everyone to see and every member of your team, or closed. That could be just for you. So that could be really, really handy if you want to just store your personal work within the tool. So if I click on new workspace, you'll notice that it's kind of appeared on the left-hand side. And then if I go back to browse all workspaces, here we can see both of them. So let's go back to the main workspace. So that's how we kind of navigate between the two. If you click this little drop down, we now have the ability to choose them. We can also favorite them depending on what we want to access more often. So now in the main interface, I'm actually going to click on home because I didn't go through everything here. It's important to notice this. Anything that's kind of a private task, which may be your kind of daily to-do list, you can start documenting them here. This is obviously separate from all of your projects as well. So it's really, really important. And here's one of the shortcuts you can use just to quickly access it. Here is an area for any kind of documents that you've recently opened and visited. So really, really handy if you're working on a lot of files and perhaps you're working on the same file routinely, you can just find it much quicker just by going on recently visited. The update feed is related to your inbox, which I showed you earlier, and that's where that kind of initial CEO message came through. And at the bottom, we can also access our workspaces at the bottom. So that's quite handy every time you log in. Now, there are a matter of ways you can start new projects in Monday.com. For instance, you could kind of start from a template, and I'll show you that in due course. But before I do just want to walk you through the typical view and how Monday.com works. From a project perspective. So I set up this project. It's all related to this particular video I'm recording now. As an example, the tasks, if you just have a quick look at these, will make sense based on what I'm doing. So this is a basic project plan, if you can imagine, and it's broken up via 2 different timeframes. So we've got tasks to be done this week and tasks to be done next week. But we could change this to something like a project phase. So as an example, this could be project planning, project initiation, project execution, etc. This could be project closure as an example. So what you can do is I could actually probably drag that down. If I if I left click and drag, we could move that down to say next week. So let's just say I wanted to publish this video next week. But you get the idea. To add a new task, you can just see that kind of area. You just left click and type it in. One of the benefits of Monday.com is that there's a variety of different columns that you can set up to basically track your projects. So these are the ones that I set up by default. We've got a task, we've got an owner, so I'm the owner of this one, hence why that's kind of illuminated in such a way. We've got a status, and these are all kind of pertaining to, as you can imagine, the different statuses. What I quite like about them is how they're kind of worded. So if I just set up a new project, actually, this might be a better way of just illustrating this. So if I was to go new board, and we're going to call this latest project, we'll call it. So this is what you would do if you were setting up a new project. So let's call this latest project. We can change the privacy, also have it as shareable if we're working with guests outside of our account, which is handy to know. Now, this is really, really cool about Monday.com. We have the ability to create different types of different types of work, if you like. So we can have items, campaigns, creatives, budgets, leads. So Monday.com can be used for a variety of different use cases. As you can expect from my channel, I am a project manager, so I'll be using it for projects, which is why I'm going to select that now. But you have the ability to use one of these, which is really, really good. You click Create Board, then it will take you to this next page once it has loaded. So you'll notice that this has been created by default. So if I just showed you my first project, that's this is the basis from just creating from that particular area. If you were to create a project from a template, it would obviously be slightly different. But here are the core columns that have been brought in by default. They're very, very similar, as you can expect. So we do have these statuses. What you can do is against each column, you can click the little drop downs and you can change everything from the settings, so how it's customized, a description of that column. You can restrict who can edit that column and who can view it, and you can also see a summary of what's happened on that column. So you've got all these abilities as well, and then you've also got the ability to filter on a column, sort on a column, collapse a column. You can duplicate, you can add a new column to the right, and if you just look in the options here, there's a variety of different columns that are preset into the system that you could set up by default without having you necessarily to go in and build them from scratch. So we've got status, people, date, timeline, numbers, tags, text, dependency, and formula. And there's even more as well, which we could select from here. Now, we also have the ability to rename the column and delete it if we didn't need it. So as an example, let's just say I like these 4 columns, but I wanted a new column. I could click this button and I could say I want, what have we not got in here? I want a text column, and I want to call this comments. Then we could add it simply like that, if I can spell correctly. So we've added comments. You can also drag the width of your columns depending on your needs. You can also hide. I think I mentioned that. So if you right click, you can collapse, and that's just obviously hides that view, but it's still in there. So if you double left click, it kind of reopens it up. So yeah, that's how you kind of operate the table view. It's like a spreadsheet functionality. You can add, so these are 2 different groups that we've got. It's what like I showed you in my first project. So we had this week and next week, and you can add new ones just by pressing that button. Now I'm going to go back to my first project because I've been in here before, and I've kind of I've updated this to make it a little bit more expansive of what it can show you and what Monday.com can do. So yeah, these are just things I've set up. We've got a priority, critical, high, medium, low. We can edit the labels from here and change the coloring as well. We've got budget, so this is obviously set to a currency formatting, and you also see here there's a formula in here. So we've got a sum. So this is summing these 2 fields here. So it's very, very useful. There's also a timeline which can show us the length of the project based on, or the task I should say, sorry, based on the due date and I believe when the task was created. That's all done by default. Last updated as well, and a progress. This is really, really nice because it shows you, I think this is called a battery, but it shows you quickly the progress of a task, and I believe that's pertaining to the due date. And there's another way this is brought in. If you were to right click, you can customize it. So okay, so it's looking at the status and the priority. So it's looking at the priority as well, and you can change this as well, and you can distribute it evenly. So that's really, really handy. So that's actually kind of the main view for us. But what's really, really good as well is we can also create new views based on this table. So I've done that ahead of time. So we've got Gantt, calendar, and Kanban. If I was to go on my latest project, I want to show you how this would work from scratch. So all you would do, so this is the main table. All you need to do is press the add view, and if we put Gantt, what it's going to do is it's going to build it based on the information held in the main table. So if you notice here, the dates we have are 6th of Feb, and 8th of Feb. Now if we go on Gantt, it's going to do exactly the same thing here. As you'll see, we've got all these dates brought in. So it's done it all by default. So the way I like to use Monday.com is to build everything out in the table and then build all our customized views out from there. And there's a variety of different views that we can have. So we can have Gantt, we can build a chart, a calendar, Kanban, we can have a files gallery, a form. So there's loads of different things we can do. But as I say, it's really, really good to create it from the main table. So if I navigate back to my first project, I've done this ahead of time. So here is the Gantt. So this is how it kind of works based on the information in the main table. Here is the calendar view, which can be really handy just to see what's coming up on your schedule. And on the Kanban, you'll see, here we go. So this is like the card view. And you'll notice this is set up based on the different statuses. So we've got done, working on it, stuck, and not started. So that's how that works. Now, if I go back to the main table, you'll notice that this kind of is in place on across all of those different views. So you have the ability to search within this. So let's just say you had a massive table, you could search within it much more quickly here. You can also filter by person, and you can also filter on a range of different parameters. So it could be on any of the columns that you kind of have within here, and it can just make life a lot easier. So for instance, you could filter on everything that you are working on. You can also sort by any column and hide as well. So you can hide certain columns from here. This little button allows you to pin columns. You can also change the item height. You can also change some conditional coloring. So as an example, we have in the status column, we've got green for done, as you like, as you can see here. So we can change that all from here. And we also have the ability to have item default values as well. So as an example, if you've got a new column, a new task, you could have that set to, we could not started as an example by default. So that's all this kind of area. The other things we can consider here is the activity, so we can see who's changed elements of this project. We can also invite new members, and we can also change a few different aspects of the functionality from here. So we've got the board power-ups, so we can have dashboards as an example. I'll show you that in a second. So also you can change things pertaining to the notifications of the board, who can access it, the settings itself, so what it's called, the specific type. You know, there's loads of things we can do in here. There's also more action, so we can save this as a template. So let's just say every first project is going to have the same project plan. You could create it ahead of time, and then you could save it as a template. Now, every time you want to build a new project, you could just use this same project plan. You can also duplicate the board, and you can put it in full screen, which is ideal for presenting. I've talked about archiving thus far, and basically this is where you would access the ability to do it, and that would be great for, say, you completed a project. You still want the history of that project and everything that happened, but you don't want it in your kind of main view. That's why you would archive, and that's how you would get to that. You can delete it if you didn't want it anymore, and you can also view your archive. So let's just say we completed this first project, then we wanted to view that archive. We could then literally go on View Archive and click on there. So that's really the main interface. You also have all these other integrations, and you can access that via this button. So there's integrations with a variety of different tools. So Twilio here is an example of one. So I think that's really, really good for a CRM. But there's loads of different ones. If you click the Explore, you'll see all the kind of main ones in here. So you've got Gmail, Google Calendar, Outlook, Slack, Zoom. There's so many different integrations. They're adding to them all the time. Stripe, so if you've got some kind of payment processing in place. So yeah, there's loads in there. You just literally just go through here and find the ones that you need. So let me just show you a dashboard quickly. So I'm going to do it on this. So I'm actually going to do it via, if I click on this, and I'm going to do it via, so here, and we're going to go board power-ups, dashboards. So visualize data from multiple boards. So this what's really, really nice is you don't have to necessarily have a dashboard from one project as an example. You could have it from two. So I've clicked, hopefully you saw that, create new dashboard. And from here, you'll notice you can visualize data from multiple boards. So use charts, timelines, and other widgets to get insights from all your boards at once. So all you need to do at this stage is I would select your data sources. So I did it from my first project. So I'll just click that button there, and I want it from the latest project as well, okay? We could do it from this one if we wanted to, but this is where all the data is being pulled in from. You can obviously filter here. We can view the dashboard when it's done, but we're in the editor at the moment. And then all we would simply do is add your first widget, and then we can choose from these different widget types. So we've got a chart, so that would be like a pie, a bar, line, etc., etc. Also numbers, so we can see clearly numbers or a KPI set in a number format. So as an example, we could roll up all of our revenue numbers and just have it as one large number. There's also a battery, so that's that kind of progress that we had on the task level earlier. We can also see a Gantt as well on our dashboard just by clicking this. But if I just click chart as an example, now this is literally, it's done it by default. What this has essentially done is it's gone into my first project and latest project, and it's just done some kind of summary of all of our different statuses. So from here, we can make this full screen if we wanted to. So every widget you can obviously manipulate via this little cog, if you like. You can change the settings. We can rename it. So I could say something like status by portfolio. So portfolio in this case meaning a portfolio of projects. So my first project and latest project is my portfolio. You get the idea. We can duplicate it, so you can create widgets which are really, really helpful, and then slightly change them based on the duplication. You can dock this widget, which I believe, that just kind of makes it prime and center. And then the other options down here are delete, of course. So let's just say we like the look of that. So we can go add widget. We can also click on, I didn't mention this, we can click on more widgets. There's so many different ones available. You can have a table. So if you did want to bring in a particular tabular view, you can have that there as well. Board update, so you can see, who's doing what. Time tracking, calendar. So there's so much you can do in here. Workload, see who is over and under capacity. So that's really, really good for monitoring your project team or just, your resources in general, resource allocation. What else do we have in here? We can add some files if we wanted to have the ability for people to come and pick up files from this dashboard. Maps, pivot boards, which are great. Countdowns, quote of the day, etc. So you could let's just as an example put this in. We could just say something like settings. We could just say something like I'd obviously need to set this up. So let's just put this as 9th. So the date is when it ends, when the countdown comes down. We could say something like rename time until project launches, something like that. And then we're going to hit that off, and then you'll see that we've got this countdown. So countdowns can be really, really cool just to give people an idea of when things are happening. As you can see, it's all kind of showing in real time based on that data set. So yeah, there's so many different widgets here. Look, you can see there's a quote of the day, and they're broken down into different categories so you can find them much easier. You can also embed videos from, say, YouTube or other online platforms, add playlists. Yeah, there's so much in here, but this is where you'd go in and you'd find them. Very, very easy to do so. There's also a number of different apps you can get from the marketplace. So I believe these will be paid, but they may save you a lot of time, may be useful depending on how you're using Monday.com and your needs. So that's the dashboard, and I think we're getting through this tutorial now. As I say, if there's anything I haven't shown you want to see, then do drop it down below. I can always create a secondary video, almost a follow-up of this one, just to walk you through Monday.com and how it all kind of works. In terms of this button here on the top left, there is the ability to see what's installed on your account. So I'm using the work management aspect of Monday.com, but you'll see there are other products that they offer as well, and you can access them by here. Obviously, that's more advanced. It depends on your organization and what you need it for. But I think at this stage, I think that this is most of the functionality. As I say, if there's anything I've missed, then do comment and I'll get back to you. But with all of that said, this is Monday.com and how to use it. I hope it's been useful. And with all that said, all the best, and I hope you have an excellent day.